And there's that fact. Hello, this is Chris with PHRT Instruction, and today we're going to talk about the NFPA, OSHA, and the levels of training. Well, I'm sitting here in my office. We have multiple tasks that we have to take care of, to include recording videos, making sure that our test questions are appropriately based for all of our needs, and then of course, updating and contacting members from the Department of Transportation, the NFPA, and OSHA. So let's talk about our levels of training specifically in this video. We don't have any other associated videos or anything like that. It's just going to be me working with you here at the desk. So OSHA is the first level of responsibility that we need to worry about. The Occupational Safety and Health Administration is the federal government's entity for workplace health and safety. So with OSHA 29 CFR 1910.120, paragraph Q, that is where we get our levels of training for emergency response. This legislation is otherwise known as HAZWOPER. So we have multiple levels of training that we have to worry about. The first of which being awareness, which this first year technically is an awareness refresher. Everybody that has taken this class before should have already gone through their basic awareness training per OSHA. The full reason that we are doing this class and all of these subsequent videos is to make sure we qualify for our operations level training. So this is where we can take a second and we can talk about the fact that we need to have awareness level training, and then only then can we have operations level training after that. Just like all the other trainings, they are going to add on to another, but not exactly. So we have awareness, and then we have operations, which of course goes more in depth, and that can give us our hands-on skills for defensive, offensive, and non-intervention strategies when we sit there and talk about hazmat response. And then we can get much more extensive into this, and that would be the technician level training. Once again, this is per HAZWOPER, 29 CFR 1910.120. And this would be on top of awareness, on top of operations, and then you would have that technician level specialty. So we all build on top of each other. At that HAZWOPER level, we also have the specialist level. So we continue to take it up, take it up, take it up. And then we have the specialists, and then we can have facility specialists, we can have container specialists between all the different types of container realms that we have out there. The one sidebar that we have within HAZWOPER for the levels of training per OSHA would be Hazmat On-Scene Incident Command. This is for the incident commander who's going to be in charge of a hazmat event. They only need awareness and operations level training to get up to that IC stuff. So the way we break it down is we have awareness, operations, and then IC. Or we can have awareness, operations, and then hazmat on-scene incident commander. And of course, as we get to that specialist level, that would be above technician as well. That is the federal minimum standard. On the other side of the coin, we have the NFPA, the National Fire Protection Association, which is a recommendation. So NFPA 472 and very soon NFPA 470 gives us our minimum requirements per the industry in fire and emergency response for what our levels of training are. They sound and look very similar to the HAZWOPER levels of training, but they are a little bit different. Remember, HAZWOPER is a mandatory. NFPA is, it's a suggestion. Now, I'll tell you what, if you fail that suggestion and somebody gets hurt, there's going to be a lot of people shaking down your doors. Let's think about it and put it this way. If I go out onto the street and I run a four-way stop sign, the lawman's going to come and take me down, right? Because I violated the law. That's what HAZWOPER is, and that's what OSHA is. If I'm in my local mall parking lot and I run a four-way stop sign, nobody's going to pull me over or give me a ticket. Now, Paul Blart might be chasing me down, but no matter what, I get kicked off of the mall grounds. I don't get a ticket. I don't get that violation. It's not a requirement. It's not a full requirement. Now, the biggest thing is to think about if you run that stop sign in the mall parking lot and you run over Granny, well, guess what? You're 100% liable now because you did not follow standard practice and recommendations. So we have to look at that as our issues. So now let's look about NFPA 472 and in the future NFPA 470. Once again, we have that minimum requirement of awareness training. very similar to HAZWOPER with their minimum training, awareness, right at the basic level. And then we build up for that here on the NFPA, and we get the operations level training. That is what this class is certified to. We are making sure all of the classes in the curriculum that we have are the ongoing basic operations requirements. NFPA gets a little bit more into the weeds here for the operations level though. They'll have NFPA they'll have operations mission specific competencies. Some of these mission specific competencies could include mass decontamination. It can include air monitoring and sampling. It can include marine operations, things like that. Even I am not trained to all of these mission specific competencies because I do not need them in my fire field that I have to worry about. So we have the core competencies for operation, and then we have the mission specific. Everybody has to have that core to get any of the mission specific competencies. What we are working on with all these video series is operations core competencies. We will not be talking about any of the mission specific competencies. We go past that and we can get up to that technician level now. Once again, we must have our awareness, our operations, core competencies, and then we would need our technician discipline above that. We can also have some of our mission-specific competencies, but that's okay. Don't worry about the noise right there. That's just engine 20 going on a motor vehicle accident right down the street. They're on it. We're not on call right now. So we sit there and worry about our operation, our awareness, our operations, our mission-specific operations competencies, and then our technician level. Just like HAZWOPER, we have Hazmat On-Scene Incident Command. That, just like HAZWOPER, people that are trained at Hazmat On-Scene Incident Command must have that awareness and must have that operations core competency. Only then can they get trained to Hazmat IC. That's the abbreviated acronym for that. And just like HAZWOPER, the NFPA provides requirements for specialists, for intermodal container specialists, tank car specialists, highway emergency cargo tank specialists. So we have all these different specialties. They have fixed facility, they have radiation, they have marine specialties. So there's specialists above that technician level. It's almost to a point when you sit there and take a look at Hazmat Operations Core, and then mission specific gets more into the weeds. Then you have technician, and then specialist gets into the weeds there. So that's the majority of our requirements that we have to have for the NFPA. It goes a little bit more in depth. The two last ones that the NFPA worries about that HAZWOPER doesn't even touch, and that would be Hazmat Officer and Hazmat Safety Officer. Those are technicians that have to worry about the management of the hazmat scene. So the Hazmat Officer is in similar sense to a Hazmat On-Scene Incident Commander. The Hazmat On-Scene Incident Commander will be in charge of the entire event. And if it's a hazmat event where we need technicians to do all the Gumby stuff of plugging and patching and going into the methyl ethyl badge stuff, we're gonna need somebody in charge of them, not the Hazmat IC. So we'll have a Hazmat Branch Officer. And then of course, to make sure all the glowworms are safe, we're gonna have the Hazmat Safety Officer. Those trainings are set up by NFPA 472, and once again, here in the future, NFPA 470, remembering that we need to keep that basic minimum standard at that federal level per HAZWOPER, or 29 CFR 1910.120. And then to make sure that we are safe from the legal side, from litigation and other things like that, we're worrying about making sure we comply to the standard of NFPA. That's all I've got for right now. Looks like I've got another fax coming in from the NFPA, so I got to get going. This has been Chris Pfaff with PHRT Instruction.